This is the best steak sandwich I've ever made. It's one of those that you just can't stop eating. The first thing we're gonna start on is our caramelized onions. Because they do take pretty long if you want to wilt them down. And so you don't cry, just close your eyes when you're cutting the onion. Nah, I'm just playing. Please don't do that. These go into a deep pan with some oil. Bro, every time I make stupid onions, man. No, you don't cry. On the onions, I'm gonna splash on a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, quick hefty pinch of salt, and then I'm gonna let them go on a low heat as we cook everything else. Every once in a while, I'm gonna give them a quick little toss. To make a delicious steak sandwich, we want something nice and vibrant. This is very similar to a chimichurri, but it's gonna be slightly different. In the mortar and pestle, we're gonna do some fresh heartburn. We're gonna give these a quick little beat down, and then we're gonna add some fresh washed parsley and cilantro. You wanna give this another ground and pound. Just keep on bruising those leaves, and then give them a twirl every couple minutes. When those fresh herbs are nice and smoothed out like this, I'm gonna go in with some green onion. I just had these on hand and I didn't want to waste. And then a bunch of serrano peppers because I like it spicy. And I've opted to keep in the seeds. As we work this in, I'm gonna remind you that you can easily do this in a food processor. But when you take your time and use a mortar and pestle, all that flavor slowly releases together, and the symphony of flavor is simply undefeated. To this, I'm gonna add a generous amount of olive oil, a nice hefty pinch of salt. We're gonna splash in some red vinegar, and then last but not least, some coriander and cumin. We're gonna keep on showing this love, and you'll know when it's well blended when your arm is gonna fall off. Basically, use a food processor. But on a real note, it does smell absolutely fantastic in here, and I never knew cilantro and parsley could smell this good. I'm gonna be using a very thin cut beef for this sandwich. You could do either ribeye or sirloin, and the more I make steak sandwiches, the more I'm a fan of the thin slices, just because they essentially melt in your mouth, and as tender as a big piece of steak can be, sometimes the pieces fall out, and I think these are optimal. For a nice indoor cook, I'm gonna get a cast iron skillet as hot as you. And I mean like scorching hot. We want the beef to hit the pan and actually caramelize and not steam. When the pan is actually smoking, I'm gonna hit it with some oil. This way the oil doesn't burn before the pan is actually hot. Then I'm gonna instantly toss in the beef and listen to a sizzle. Spread it out and don't overcrowd the pan. I'm not gonna toss and turn them at first. I'm just gonna let them develop a beautiful crust, just like this. As this cooks, I'm gonna do a hefty pinch of salt and just a quick handful of black pepper. There's plenty of flavor and sauce throughout the sandwich, so there's absolutely no reason to overseason the meat. Last but not least, I'm gonna do a quick dash of Worcestershire sauce. To really tie in the sandwich, a quick mayo calls for some QP, a tiny spoonful of harissa paste. If you want to sub for this, you could easily do shatta or even sriracha, but if you can get your hands on this, you will not regret it. To finish this off, I'm gonna do a light pinch of salt and just some lemon to really tie it in. For our bread of choice, I'm gonna be using a ciabatta baguette. I found this at Trader Joe's and I want something that's gonna sop up all that flavor without falling apart like my life. I don't know why evenly slicing bread is so hard for me to do. First things first, we get a quick toast on the bread. Just use a normal oven or pan, and then we're gonna compile the sandwich Salt Hank style. Damn, I already messed up. Anyways, first layer green sauce on the steak. After the steak, we hit it with some jalapeno pepper jack. Now this gets another little toast. Remember those ever so caramel onions? Just look how beautiful they got. I'm gonna spread on a quick little layer. And last but not least, we're gonna do our harissa mayo on the other side. And then we give this the final toast. She is just gorgeous. Gotta get a little extra harissa mayo on there. And as always, na bismillah. I am at a loss of words. The texture, the complexity of the flavor, at the same time it's not doing too much. The bread got nice and toasty. This sandwich is just a killer. There is so much flavor in here, you're going to love it.